All right, so it's super early in the morning and I never make videos this early, but this is a kind of important one. Now, my Red camera and your Red camera and people's Red cameras all over the place are now, well, Nikon cameras. But not exactly, but let me explain. If you aren't caught up on the latest episode of the internet, Nikon officially has acquired Red cinema cameras. Now, that means a whole bunch of things, including a couple implications on the camera industry. However, this is one of the most surprising acquisitions I've seen from two companies. Now, I am going to say I'm not entirely surprised that Nikon has the money to acquire Red. If you guys aren't giant history buffs, Nikon started in 1917, where Red started in 2006. So there's almost 100 years of acquiring funds in order for them to assimilate a company. Even though that Red cameras are very popular now and they're more expensive, you just can't beat 100 years of generational wealth. This also kind of explains the lawsuit that Nikon settled out of a couple of months ago, or at least like almost a year ago. Before, if you guys didn't notice, that some of the Nikon cameras do have the ability to have compressed RAW within them, and that also sparked up the Red patent, and it caused sort of a lawsuit that they settled out of, and we kind of never heard about the details of that case. And now I don't think we're ever going to hear about those details because now Nikon decided to just buy the company that tried to sue them in the first place. Now, with all of this, what does it actually mean for Red? Where do I see this as a double win for both companies? I actually don't think it's a loss. Now, for one, Red is kind of a smaller company. It's not as big as Nikon, not by a long shot. And with that, you might also have some advantages in terms of manufacturing. So Red might actually be able to make more cameras quicker or make new cameras faster because they're going to have that manufacturing infrastructure. Nikon, again, existing for over 100 years, is going to be able to have a lot of things and a lot of resources that helps them make more cameras. It just so happens that in recent times, nobody really wanted to buy them until now, but I think that's going to change. Now, on Nikon's side of things, I think this is a giant competitive advantage. One thing that a lot of people are asking from their video cameras is the ability to shoot in RAW or having more accessories that are going to help them for their needs. Now, Nikon being able to partner with Red also acquires that technology as well as their patents and any other assets. So what ends up happening is that we might get some new Nikon accessories that might be incredibly useful. On top of that, Red doesn't make lenses, and that means that Nikon's going to be able to use some of that R&D from Red in terms of making really good video lenses and then add that into the Z-mount system. You might actually even see some Z-mount cameras that are going to have R3D RAW in it somewhere in the future, which is also really needed because I think Nikon needs a bit of an overhaul in terms of their ecosystem. They made amazing DSLR cameras and lenses to match, but they kind of went with that fashion, and there's not really compact offerings that are first party. And there's also some other things that could make Nikon a really good ecosystem for video and photography with just a couple of adjustments, which might be helped by the fact that now they own a company that just makes video cameras. Possibilities are going to be endless. You might get a Z-mounted Red camera, or you're going to get like an RF to a Z-mount adapter, or we might get a stills camera made by Red, or a Komodo that's a fusion with Nikon. There's so many things that we can get, but it is going to take a while. Just because the merger happened today doesn't mean there's going to be a camera tomorrow, which also means everybody just calm down for a second. I know it's super exciting, but this doesn't actually mean anything physically just yet, outside of maybe some manufacturing updates with Red coming out with cameras a bit faster, if that's the reason why they got into that merger. However, I will say this is the hugest de-energy that I think I've seen from a company before. You have a camera with compressed RAW in it, that company then ends up suing you, so then you end up buying that company back, which kind of feels like if you got bullied in elementary school and now you're married to that dude's sister. I'm also going to add that I'm absolutely here for the chaos too. I think there needs to be a shakeup somewhere in this industry, and the fact that Nikon wants to buy one of the more popular video camera brands out there, go for it. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fun. And at the end of the day, I think the people that win is probably going to be us. At the end of the day, I think it's going to take a little bit before Nikon actually starts making moves with this whole new Red merger. And I think it's going to be a while before we start to see what really is going on. But at the same time, I am curious what other camera brands are going to do. Canon still hasn't really opened their RF mount to third-party lens manufacturers, which is kind of weird. I mean, they said they did, but then nothing's coming out, so it's just taking really long. Also, they only have one RF mount native cinema camera, which is kind of weird. Sony comes out with a new camera every single week. Panasonic literally gives you the castle and the farm with their cameras in terms of its features, which also might be sometimes overwhelming. And Fuji is just chilling, selling 1 million copies of the Fuji X100VI. There's going to be a bunch of different companies that are going to have to respond in the next couple of years, but at the current junction in time, I don't think it's anything to be super scared of right now. However, in terms of the future, it's looking kind of bright. And also, maybe you might see a little bit more Nikon on this channel, because I mean, at this point, it's the same as my Red Komodo X. That being said, this is kind of an impromptu video. It's super early in the morning and it's also leg day, so I gotta get out of here. If you wanna see another video, probably leave it somewhere on the screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.